What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Battletoads on the Xbox One, because this is a game that originally I was very curious about. I'm somebody that actually grew up with the original Battletoads games from back in the day, and they were so exceptionally fun. The biggest thing is that, of course, it was great co-op, it was really cool beat-em-ups, but also the old school games, they really exemplified good difficulty. It was so well balanced that every time you managed to win, it felt like a true victory. Whereas this new game, it's just confusing. So the main reason I'm doing this brutally honest review is because, to be quite frank, I actually feel like I need to warn you that this game is very different than you might assume. The biggest thing being that it's not technically a beat 'em up. Yes, there are some beat 'em up levels in here, but this game, the weirdest thing about it is that there is just tons and tons of mini games. So seriously, I could make an entire 30-minute video just showing you all the random side events that are required to get through this game, because so many of them flat out don't make sense. From a Toad version of rock, paper, scissors, to going to the Olympic Games and trying to compete in all sorts of different sports, suddenly having to beat up cultists on a private cult island, things like an hour-long sequence where you're actually in space and doing a huge shooter, and every player is controlling a different weapon or boosters or controls, or straight up there's just a 30-minute trip on hover bikes through Turbo Tunnel. The biggest problem with this game is that it completely lacks focus. There is no singular vision, there's no rhyme, there's no reason, there's absolutely no logic. Now, I'm sure that somebody in the comments section, some like hardcore Xbox dude, is gonna go, "Actually, Dreamcast guy, it's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to be wacky and random." Well, here's the problem with that. The jokes they tell in this game are funny. There's a large amount of humor in this game that totally lands, from silly jokes to these animated like cartoon episodes that are just filled with self-referential humor. They actually talk about how weird it is that the game will stop and give you a tutorial. They actually ask questions about like whether the Battletoads are really brothers or not. There is so much in this game when it comes to the presentation that is fantastic. Like, a big thing that I really loved is the art style. I really think that the art, the drawing, the fact that everything has this like sculpted design to it is amazing. I also think that the music is just so good. Where it falls apart though is that I really despise that everything just changes and changes and changes. The second I managed to really get a chance to run around in a level and enjoy a really nice beat 'em up section, the next level I may be thrown into a time where there's an entire section of the game where there's absolutely no combat. It's just puzzle sections where pressing the punch button does literally nothing, and all you can do is push and pull boxes around the map and solve puzzles. There is so much in this game that just does not fit. I do want to take a second to actually talk about the beat 'em up sections, because even though they're tiny, these are the best part of the game. Straight up, the times when this is really great, and I wish that there was more of this, is the fact that when you're able to just fight, when you get a chance to sit down with your bros and just actually use the combos and figure out the specials and see the incredibly well done animations, that's when you have a chance to see the flicker of old school Battletoads. This is kind of tainted though with the fact that there is just so much repetition. A big problem with this game that kind of popped up is that something about this seems kind of, I don't want to use the word lazy, but stuff in here feels very repetitive. And I mean that in a very direct sense. You will fight through a level and it will literally have the same maps, the same bad guys again and again sometimes. It feels like they were trying to make a game that was 1 hour long feel like it is 3 hours long. Like, there are times, as an example, where you'll be playing a space section and then it'll have a great cutscene and then it'll just go straight back to that same space section. It doesn't feel different, it doesn't feel original, and so you just end up kind of just craving that next change of scenery. What kind of works about this, though, is that I think that it's interesting that it does switch directions so much, but it ends up kind of washing out the spark of this game. Let me give you like an analogy. So imagine if you were sitting down to dinner and you're super hungry, and then everything keeps getting changed out in front of you every 5 minutes. You're eating a giant enchilada, you're enjoying enjoying the flavor, it has some really good salsa on it, and then they just take it away and bring you a pizza. So you eat a couple bites of pizza, and then they take that away and start giving you a hot dog. The good side of this is that if you end up hating the hot dog, you know that you're going to get like another piece of pizza soon. The downside of this is that you end up hungry and you're constantly just waiting for something that will sate your appetite. This game shifts focus so freaking much that honestly, I got bored. It wasn't even a matter of frustration, it's that I got bored because I could never properly engage with the game itself. Since it's just constantly trading and shifting and trying to be silly and wacky, I never had a chance to really care about any section of the game. It was always just a matter of trying to progress for the sake of progression. And to me, that is such a giant flaw in the game. Now, something else about this that's very peculiar, there is no online co-op. So the only way to play this game is local only. Now, I'm very lucky. My roommate is actually a YouTuber named Comic Drake, so he played through the game with me. But the issue is that that's not good. I mean, how are you supposed to have a game that originally was such a great multiplayer experience and you just straight up don't add the online to it? I mean, other games this year, other beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage 4 had amazing online play, so why not do something like that for this? It's so weird that this game, which is supposed to be about good multiplayer, which is supposed to be wacky and fun and cool, manages to just be so basic and boring. I think what really kind of got me the most is that a lot of times these mini games, they're just so back to back that I just could not ever like emotionally engage with them. Like, let me just put this up on the screen. Here is a huge mini game where at one point you're trying to fix a ship, and while you're trying to fix it, you're basically solving 7 or 8 tiny mini games inside of a giant mini game, all rolled together into like a huge burrito of mini games. But my problem is that I wish that they managed to just stick to one particular element. If you're going to be a beat 'em up, be the best beat 'em up. If you're going to be silly mini games, make the silly mini games. But the biggest thing is, if you're going to do this, at least aim for short and sweet. The first time I do some rock, paper, scissors, that's funny. The second I do rock, paper, scissors, that's boring. The first time I'm trying to like do a selfie mini game, that's silly. The third time I do it, it's completely boring. Take me out of space. Stop making me do these non-combat sections and let me actually battle as the Battletoads. Okay, so we've heard a lot of bad and a little bit of good, but let's go over the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Battletoads on the Xbox One a 5.5 out of 10. It's obviously very difficult for me to recommend this game because I think it has so many issues, but I will say that if you already have Games Pass, if you've already paid for the Games Pass subscription, just download this. I mean, come on, it's basically free. Just go ahead and play it for yourself, see what you think. But the biggest thing is, do not buy this at full price. It costs $20 for this game. This game is probably worth $5. I won't say that it's quite a cell phone game, but it's very, very freaking hard for me to say that this is actually a full-blown, proper sequel, because absolutely it is not. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.